Hello, and thank you for tuning in today to Far Above Rubies. I'm so very glad that each of you are here. We are kicking off week 3, which is lesson 3 of our Bible study called Uncovered. If you missed the last couple of weeks of lessons, please go start back at the beginning. Each week's lessons are labeled lesson 1.1 through 1.5, and then last week was 2.1 through 2.5, so 5 lessons to each week, okay? Make sure that you're all caught up because there's a lot of great information you are really not going to want to miss. This week we're kicking off lesson 3. As I said, we're talking about creation and the Garden of Eden. We're going to talk about the topics: days of creation, creation of man, the Garden of Eden, sin brings death, and a thread of hope. Today we are kicking off with days of creation, okay? So let's dig in together. Days of creation. We learn from the very first Bible verse that exists that God created the whole world. It says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." God created everything that we see and we know. And how did He do this? We learn from reading the creation account given in the first chapter of Genesis that He created the waters, the dry land, the plants, all of space, sea creatures, flying creatures, all the land animals by speaking them into existence. God's words have the power to create. That is a big lesson in a tiny sentence, okay? Here's the layout of all that God created over the span of 7 days. We're going to basically walk through the first chapter of Genesis. I'm not going to read all the verses, but I highly recommend that you take just a few moments after this video or pause this video and go read the first chapter of Genesis for yourself. We're just going to skim it and walk through what God did in that first chapter, okay? So on day 1, it says that God created light, and that's in Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 through 5. Now, as a little side note, there are some different perspectives and opinions and thought processes as to what that light is, because the light could not have been from the sun because the sun was not created until day 4 of creation, okay? The light spoken of in day 1 could quite possibly represent the presence of God breaking through the darkness that surrounded the unformed earth. We're told that the earth was dark, it was without form, there was a great void, essentially. Okay, so it's believed that it's possible that this is in reference to the presence of God. God is light itself, okay? Light comes from Him. In Him there is no shadow of turning, okay? There is no darkness. There is no any kind of hint of darkness in the Lord. So it's believed that that light could have been representative of the Spirit of God coming upon the unformed earth. Day number 2, the firmament dividing the upper waters and the lower waters. Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. The word firmament is simply meaning the curvature of the sky, okay? Day number 3, the seas, dry land, and plant life appear from the spoken word of God in Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 through 13. On day 4, God created the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay, that's beautiful. Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 through 19. On day number 5, sea creatures and flying creatures were created by God in Genesis chapter 1, verses 20 through 23. On day number 6, God created land animals and man himself. And that's found in Genesis chapter 1, verses 24 through 31. The Lord spent 6 days creating and reflecting on all that He had made, and that it was good. At the end of every portion of creation, it says, "And God looked at what He had made, and He saw that it was good." He only could see goodness in His creation. After the 6 days, we're told that God set apart a 7th day specifically for rest. This is associated with the Sabbath, which we can talk more about later. But on day 7, it says that God rested in Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Okay, 1 through 3. God rested from all that He had made. And that, again, we'll talk more about the reflection of the Sabbath day in that later. But Today is just establishing, though some may be super familiar, maybe you've heard about the story of creation from as far back as you can remember, but maybe you're new to faith, new to the Word of God, and these are where you find the scriptures that talk to us about the idea that God created the heavens and the earth. He created everything in the earth. He created you and I, and we're going to continue to talk about creation in the days ahead. If you're enjoying this study, make sure you go and find your friends and invite them to come along and dig into it with us. I'm so thoroughly enjoying it myself. I'm excited about this uncovered study. If you'd like the link to be able to purchase this study, I did not create it. I do not get any credit if you purchase it. I just like to point people in the right direction of a great resource, okay? Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if no one has told you lately, you are loved and you are cherished and you are valuable. You have beautiful and tremendous worth, my sweet friend, and that worth is far above rubies. Thank you for being here with me today, and I will see you all again tomorrow. God bless you.